You are listening to episode 288 of the Game Deflators Podcast. My name's John, and I'm joined by Brian.
Hey, everybody, here at the Game Deflators Podcast, we like to talk about games we've recently picked up, games we're currently playing, and we have a Baja Blast in this week's Inflation Deflation Challenge.
No, we're not talking Taco Bell, although that does sound great right now.
It really does.
Yeah, I'm kind of hungry. No, we played some Super Off Road Baja or Baja, Off Road Baja. I don't know, man. Super Off Road Baja.
Can't get it off the mind now.
Yeah, now Taco Bell is just everywhere. Super Off Road the Baja. That's what we played this week. What do we have next week? I don't know.
Next week, gosh, John.
I know, I would
you
put
asked
you on the
me
spot,
this question.
Right? Well, Ryan looks it up. I'm gonna do his bit here, and then maybe he could do the social media plugs. We'll mix it up, see how it goes. No,
go for it.
Okay. So this week we plan out our summer, and we get our snacks ready for all the big events. And it looks like rumors about Xbox might just have a showcase with a lot more Xbox games this year. Or a lot more than Xbox games. I messed up your spiel.
You're all right. So I'll do my best at yours. So you can always find us at thegamedeflators.com, our possibly up-to-date website.
Out of date currently.
Out of date currently. You can find us on all the social medias at The Game Deflators, except for Twitter because they don't like the. And of course, you're listening to us currently on a podcast application or, YouTube. I guess that's another option. Wherever you're listening, leave us a comment. Leave us a 5-star review if it's available. Tell your friends and family the Game Deflator sent you. And next week, John, we are going to be playing Eargiz.
Oh my God, you kill me every time. Air Guys.
Air Guys.
On the PlayStation 1. That's our next game. And then we'll have a new slate of 4 games.
Did I say Eargiz last time?
Yeah, you did. And you've said other names, I think. All right, so that's what we got. But first, let's go ahead and talk about our video game pickups for the week. So for my pickup this week, I ended up getting Fort Solace on the PlayStation 5. It's a QTE-based game. Found it for like $10. Figured why not.
That name sounds familiar.
Yeah, the reviews are okay. So we'll kind of see where it ends up and go from there. Outside of that, currently playing. So, Alundra. Dude, I am about 8 hours into this game. I am not falling asleep as much as I thought I would be falling asleep.
That's what you said last week.
Right? Coincidental, too, because the entire game is about, like...
Falling asleep?
Actually, yeah. Funny enough, it is. So you're in this world where you play as Alundra, and you're a dream walker, essentially. You're able to go in these people's nightmares, and you're able to help kind of ail whatever situation is in these nightmares that's occurring. So there's like this evil spirit, I forget the name of the spirit, but essentially, or evil being, and he goes into these nightmares, and he's just effectively killing people within their nightmares. So at one point, this like community's village, Anoa Village, they gain the power to be able to control their dreams. Right? And so they're like, oh, great. Like we can control our dreams. Now they're in a situation where they can't fall asleep because if they fall asleep, they dream, they have nightmares, bad things happen in their nightmares. So now they're all like struggling to go to sleep essentially and struggling with their nightmares, obviously. So every single like instance of where you're playing in a game is essentially trying to figure out, these dungeons and puzzles that are dreams. Pretty much. Like that's what it comes out to.
Is there a usable item of coffee?
There is not a usable item of coffee, although I wish there was. That'd be pretty awesome. So outside of Alundra, my wife and I are playing Bramble the Mountain King. Dude, that game went from not so creepy to being super flippin' creepy.
Yeah, you showed me a little bit of it today, and man, it visually is such a striking looking game. It looks incredible.
Oh yeah, dude, the game itself looks fantastic. And then we have lots of zombie like things and witches, and we opened up like a Necronomicon and what we were playing last night. I mean, dude, I did not anticipate this from a video game. And I hate that I'm going to spoil this for you, but I kind of have to for the purpose of this. Okay, yeah, cover your ears. So there's actually a scene where you were kind of chasing down a midwife who is trying to sacrifice a baby for a witch. And as you kind of go through all these puzzles, you make your way, and they just straight up show this midwife hanging from a tree and a baby floating in the water, and like this whole scene of burying this baby and everything else. Like, it's actually pretty heartbreaking, the entire scene. But as I'm watching, I'm like, wow, this is insane. Like, how visually, how good this game looks. It's crazy how the gameplay just is so fluid, and then all of like the horror elements that come through. When we first started playing, I was like, oh yeah, I don't anticipate this to be any jump scares. I don't think it's going to be like that at all. And then last night, my wife and I were just like in one scene, like, oh shit, like jumping back and everything because of something popping out at us. And dude, there's just so many cool things about this title. So if you haven't played Bramble, the Mountain King, definitely check it out. It's pretty badass. It's a shorter game. It's supposed to be about 4.5, 5 hours roughly.
I'm assuming it's a cheaper game.
It's like $30 right now on PS5, and I think you can get on PS4 as well. Totally worth it. One of the best purchases I've had gaming wise in a while.
Nice.
So, and that's saying quite a bit because I've picked up quite a few good games, I guess, in the last year. Yep. How about yourself?
So I actually got really lucky, and I was able to pick up Paper Mario: The Thousand Year Door remake this week. I did not think I was going to be able to get my hands on it for a while, but, you know, sometimes good things happen. So that's awesome. I have been playing through that for the last, like, day or so. I'm in Hooktails Castle. It's so great to, like, go back and revisit this game. It's, like, one of my favorite games of all time. So to see it in a new light and, you know, give me another reason to go through it again. And I'm just really very impressed. I'm very happy with what I've got. Everybody else seems like they're very happy with it. So I'm hoping that this will send the message to Nintendo that we all want more of this style Paper Mario, you know, RPG style game moving forward. And, you know, if this sells like really well, it could actually send that message to them and give us that, you know, possible hope for something new, or like maybe like a Paper Luigi or something. Like, you know, it'd be cool to just see more of this. I'm so excited to get all the way through this. We'll see if that happens all in one go. You know how my track record is. But this was kind of my plan with like my new games resolution was like, I knew this game was coming out this year. Bug Fables is very similar, but, you know, from a little bit different stuff that it does. And, you know, obviously it's not, you know, Nintendo or anything, but I really wanted to kind of compare and contrast those two games and see, you know, what would a modern remake of like Paper Mario look like, and then, you know, how did another studio innovate it in the past. So we'll get to all of that eventually, but that's basically what I've been playing this week. Not really a whole lot else going on. I keep thinking about how I need to finish Final Fantasy IX and how close I am, and then I don't. That's the only other really gaming thing that like has been on my mind, other than, you know, all the game stuff I watch on YouTube.
One thing I forgot to mention actually is gaming wise. So I actually went to the house of a couple buddies that I play Magic with every now and then. And we decided to play a format of Magic, which is an arena called Brawl. And so with an arena Brawl, it's like a 60 card deck focused on standard, but it's like Commander where you only have one of each card. So,
okay.
Yeah. So basically I put together a bunch of red cards I had just to put something together because I didn't have anything, obviously. And it was great. I mean, we had a good time with it, dude. Like, we all ran our 60 card decks. We had a blast. It was just some casual play instead of going to the shop. The shop that we've been going to for a while is, you know, it's not popping off on standard. And it was like, why are we going to go to a shop when we can hang out, buy a pizza, you know, instead of paying $5 each to enter, let's just go buy a pizza, you know, all chill out, have some drinks. I mean, we're not really drinking, but, you know, have some drinks overall if we want to, and then play some casual Magic and just have a whole bunch of different matchups, have some fun, and then go home. So that's what we did and had a good time. All right. Discussion topic. So I threw this your way. I figured let's talk about gaming genre mashups, not matchups. So after playing Tunic, which is pretty much like Zelda meets Dark Souls, right? I was like, what else could be out there that would be like a dream mashup for us? So I'll kick it off. And my dream mashup would be Super Mario Maker meets Mario Kart. That would be mine. So
Mario Kart Maker.
Mario Kart Maker. Yeah. I think that would be badass, not from a kart making perspective, but obviously racetracks. So taking all of the different elements that are tied to, Mario Kart games and building your own tracks. I know it'd be a little interesting because there's just so many different types of tracks and so many elements within those tracks. But I mean, dude, think about like from a community standpoint, like how much fun that would be to play different racetracks that people have made for Mario Kart.
Mm-hmm.
I think that'd be awesome. And then it wouldn't be a matter of, oh, can you beat this level? And the situation is tied to Super Mario Maker, right? Where it's, okay, so-and-so has made like this crazy hard level. It's so difficult to beat. Like, no, it's just good fun of like different racetracks. It really opens it up so that Nintendo doesn't necessarily need to be continually pumping out racetracks.
Mm-hmm.
They can, right? And then continue adding elements to this like Mario Kart Maker game. But I think that to me would be a very ideal creation type of tool plus game to kind of play with, right? And maybe that's what the new Mario Kart will be, right? On whatever new Switch comes out. I mean, you have to do something different, right? Mario Kart 8 has taken almost every single level you can think of. They've thrown them in. They've thrown in tons of DLC into this game. What are you releasing as a new Mario Kart? Are you just going to have the backwards compatible version and that's it, right? Nintendo is going to try and sell more Mario
Kart 9 is going to have to come out eventually, and it's going to have to do something crazy.
Yeah, and I think that's the crazy that it needs. And there was also another rumor I saw recently, just to kind of segue out of this for a second, showing that there's like 2 new Mario games that are like being leaked on the new Nintendo Switch 2 or whatever you want to call it. So I think Nintendo hopefully has some good stuff up their sleeve, and I'm hoping this is one of them, right? Mario Kart Maker.
There you go. It's so funny, John, that you went to kart racing, because I also went to kart racing.
Nice.
So I thought back, and I mean, this has kind of been done before, but I would want to see it like kind of expanded upon into like an actual game. Like, have you ever played like Crash Team Racing or like Diddy Kong Racing? How there's kind of like the world that you go around in outside of just the races. I think it would be really cool to have like a full like adventure, like, platformer with like you're a kart, like the whole game.
Oh, like you're a kart the whole game?
Yeah, like a driving like adventure.
So cars.
Yeah.
You're stealing cars from Disney.
Well, I mean, like you don't have to be the car. Like you could be somebody in a car, but just that idea of it's like you're not just doing like a race, like you're on like an adventure on a quest, but you drive a car or a cart and you get like power-ups and, do all the normal kind of stuff, but just like not in a 3-lap environment.
So maybe like missions and such, and you happen to be like a mechanic or you run a car shop on your side gig and you race and things like that.
No, just like a full like a Mario, adventure,
platform.
But like instead of a guy that runs around and jumps, you're like in a cart and you've got, you still get like your shells, or I mean, it doesn't have to be like a Mario thing exactly. Like I think it would be better to do it as like its own independent kind of like new franchise thing, but like same kind of idea with like power-ups and like, the enemies aren't just going to be like guys walking at you with swords. They're going to be like guys coming at you in carts and stuff, and
or ATV riders that are backstrap, which we'll get into later in the episode. Yeah.
But I've always thought that would be really cool. And I love when people do this kind of stuff. Like I used to listen to another podcast back in the day, and it's not around anymore, but the one guy, Liam from it, he went on to make his own game that was like kind of like a roguelike golf game where you've got this like crazy hard like puzzle of a golf that you have to get out. It's what was the name of the game? I can't even think of it right now. I gotta look it up.
You said golf game?
Yeah. Keep talking.
I don't know what I'm going to talk about, people. I was going to dive into
about another genre mashup that you would enjoy.
Another genre mashup. Well, let's mash up. Let's look at Bloodborne kart, since we're on kart racing.
Oh yeah.
We get every time I see that meme, dude, I'm like, I totally want to see Bloodborne kart. Like I don't know how it would work or why it would work, but it just has to work because it's Bloodborne and it's kart racing, and those are the 2 greatest things that have ever been created in all of video game history. I'm running out of content, Ryan. You better have found your stuff.
Yeah, so it's let's see here.
Awkward silence starting now.
Gosh, John. Curse to Golf by Chu Hai Labs with Liam Edwards. Yeah.
Oh.
But I mean, there's lots of cool ways that, they mash up like different genres and stuff. And I think that a lot of the time that's what like indie devs are doing that we really like more than, what AAA does when they just kind of churn out the same stuff. A lot of times you see these smaller studios being able to reinvent and incorporate these things. Like we had the like rhythm shooters and stuff that have been coming out and popular. And then we had like Hi-Fi Rush, which is like, a platforming action game that's also a rhythm game. So like there's lots of ways to just kind of clip little elements from different things and incorporate them into a really well-defined already there genre and birth something totally new out of it. So it's always super fun for me to see those creative leaps and those new connections being made, and those are often like the games that even if I don't play them myself, they always really kind of like grab my attention a lot more and bring me in.
Yep, totally agree with you, man. And I think indie devs is really where it's all at with this type of stuff, right? They're the ones that really, they have everything to lose, but they also have everything to gain as well, right? So anytime you can get some sort of crazy mashup like that, I think you're going to see, some success usually that comes from. I mean, Tunic's a great example, right? You took a cutesy looking fox with elements of, Zelda. I think if you think Link's Awakening, obviously the little cutesy one that came out, right? And then mashing it up with Dark Souls like elements, like, come on. Like, it had to be a success, right? They kind of had to go into that knowing we're either going to be really, really at the top here in terms of turning over games, or we're going to fail completely. And obviously it turned out for the better for them.
Yeah.
All right, let's go into some articles. Let's see. I don't know why my mouse is deciding to go the opposite direction here while I look, but we're going to kick it off of Ryan's first article.
Yeah, so I pulled up something not very deep this week, but it's your guide to this year's summer video game events. This is by Ash Parrish at The Verge. Basically,
not Ash Ketchum.
No.
Okay, wrong Ash.
Yeah,
continue.
There's definitely more than one Ash in the world. Ash from Evil Dead.
There's Ash.
Predates Ash Ketchum. Even
in my Strixhaven campaign. When we get back to that, there's Ash.
So, anyways, E3's dead. It's not coming back. It's Ash.
Can you read the first line of this article, by the way?
Yeah, as the corpse of E3 lies in a moldering, as the corpse of E3 lies a moldering in its grave, its spirit marches on in the form of a bevy of video game showcases and events.
That was the best line that they could have started with.
Yeah.
100%. Go on, though.
So, no more E3. Nowadays, it's a lot more work to kind of figure out where and when everything is going to be, going on, who's really going to be presenting stuff. And it's just, it's a little more work to get into these days. So this is a great article kind of outlining all of the different events coming up, maybe some that you haven't even heard of. So they go over the Accessibility Summer Showcase 2024, Summer Game Fest, Devolver Digital Direct, Day of the Devs Summer Game Fest Edition 2024.
So just going that accessibility one, that was actually pretty cool. So if you haven't heard about that one, it's all the, how they have on the Game Awards, the accessibility award and everything, in terms of like Forza, and the thing that I think Forza's won it like almost every year, it seems, or it's one of them. But it's pretty much a showcase of all the games out there that are taking accessibility into consideration when they're making their games. So you're not really looking at games that aren't accessible to people that are blind or deaf or, or paraplegics and things of that nature. It's tying in just those types of games, and that's it, and showcasing them so that way people aren't guessing when they've purchased a game to say, oh, can I actually play this game? You go into settings, turns out you can't, because there's no sort of like color blindness correction or anything along those lines. Like, it's all showcased originally at this show, and you don't have to have any guessing games after the fact.
Yeah,
so I thought that was cool.
Yeah, it's really good. It's one that I hadn't heard of until I saw this, but
same.
I mean, they'll have the Xbox Game Showcase, the Wholesome Direct 2024, PC Gaming Show, Steam Next Fest, Ubisoft Forward 2024, Nintendo Direct, Gamescom 2024. There's all these events. So knowing when all these things are going to be happening and trying to plan out, like, I know some people, I always used to be the guy who wished I could take a whole week off so that I could just chill at home and watch all the E3 stuff as it was happening. Never really made that work. But, it's gonna be a deluge of news and announcements. I mean, we know that it used to be a lot more condensed. Now it goes, I mean, I think that last one on the list is in August. So we've got a couple of months where we're going to be getting all kinds of stuff all the times. And I mean, I'm sure that we're going to start seeing leaks for that happen anytime now. I mean, obviously we're going to talk about a little bit of that later on today, I think, but there's just so much coming out that I'm excited for. I think that mostly it's probably Summer Game Fest. I mean, Keighley puts on a hell of a show and usually has such good things to show off. Like, I'm going to sleep on the Ubisoft one. Nintendo Directs, those are always good to watch, although I can't imagine that they're going to have a lot of great new stuff to show off. And I know we're not going to hear anything about the Switch 2, so we'll see what they've got.
I mean, you never know. We could end up hearing about the Switch 2, and that's what the Direct
They
is
said
about.
directly they wouldn't.
Yeah, you know what? Maybe they turned it the other direction and they lied. Because, I mean, it is Nintendo, right? So
It is.
Well, you mentioned leaks. I don't really have anything additional to add to that. I took that as a hint of, John, we're going to watch every single one of these and cover every single one of them on our episodes. That's kind of what I took that as. But it's cool information in general, just to know, like, there's so many great award shows that are not award shows, but shows that are occurring specifically dedicated to video games in, light of E3 going away. So I'm happy about it. I think it's pretty cool to see so much around, especially in the summertime. All right. My thing here is there's a rumor going around that Microsoft may provide an update on its multi-platform strategy soon during its next showcase. And so this is, I'm going to probably butcher the name, but Ediz Gunnar at Gamer Rant. So the idea here is when you kind of take into consideration, everything that's happened with like Hi-Fi Rush and other titles that have been put onto other consoles, people are thinking that this is going to be Xbox revealing its overall multi-platform strategy to say all games are free range. They're all going to be multi-platform moving forward, which falls into, my whole line of thinking of them just being a big video game creator, publisher, etc., and no more consoles down the road.
Well, they've already announced their next console, that they've got it in development.
They also said that those 4 games, Indiana Jones and all of those, would not be going multi-platform. And if they do go multi-platform, they can just as easily turn around and not release a new console down the road. Strategies change, man. So we're still in the middle of this overall life cycle of consoles. Next couple of years, they could be looking at overall revenue targets and say, nope, no sense in getting a new console.
Well, they're planning a 2026 launch.
Planning it doesn't mean it'll happen.
Well, I know, but like they've already finished like most of the dev at this point, and games are already being worked on for it. I mean, obviously anything can change, and I'm not saying that like the next generation is going to be something that's going to turn everything around for Xbox. They're going to come out with more hardware. Likely they'll probably come out with like a new all digital home type console device, probably some kind of streaming device, probably some kind of handheld device, and just kind of network into a suite of, hey, we make hardware that will play games. Also, we make games that you can play anywhere. It plays best on our hardware, but we're not going to start precluding any sales from this point forward, and we want all the money. And I think that, some of that justification is being seen in some other companies too. Like Square Enix is not going to be doing exclusively PlayStation releases for their stuff because, like, honestly, compared to the giant network of PS4s that were out there really driving sales, I mean, the PS5 sales just don't have enough units out there right now to capture enough for it to be worth it for them. I mean, imagine how much money Square Enix could have made if they had put Final Fantasy out on PC and Xbox all on day one at the same time that they launched it. Like, they would have probably made way more money than going with just the PlayStation exclusivity.
Well, and the reason for that decision, by the way, if you didn't see their recent shareholder or quarterly review of their revenue was actually down. So yeah, it made sense. It kind of made a judgment call, like, we're not going this direction anymore because we're not making the money. And in fact, we're in a negative. We're losing money. Mm-hmm. So yeah, you kind of have to go that way. And I see that is where Microsoft might be coming in here too. I mean, you just invested, what was it, 72 billion on, or 69 billion on Activision Blizzard, and then what was the amount? It was like 6 billion or 16 billion on Bethesda or ZeniMax.
Yeah, I mean that one was a while ago, but yeah.
But I mean, still, I mean,
It's
we're talking
a ton of money.
You're talking billions for a company that is not churning out video game consoles to the market. I mean, they're in third place. They're very far behind. They're not making enough money to justify that overall expense. So what do? You release multi-platform. That's the only thing you can do to kind of justify that and make that money back.
And I think that like in combination with Game Pass, like because Game Pass doesn't really lead to game sales, like it kind of can. Like usually if a game is leaving Game Pass, I think you get like a discount on purchasing it. But most people just are like, cool, I had my time with the game. I mean, Game Pass is the only thing. I've only bought one game for my Series S, and that was Elden Ring. So if a lot of people are doing like me, just doing Game Pass, I would continue to have my Xbox and subscribe to Game Pass. And then I would just, any games that I really wanted to buy, I would know that if I wanted to buy it, I could turn around and buy it on PS5 or Switch 2 or, you know, whatever the case might be in the future. But that wouldn't preclude me from keeping my Game Pass subscription. And Game Pass subscriptions aren't really raising at this point. They're kind of staying flat. So like if they can maintain that revenue and just offload, you know, sales and stuff on other platforms while maintaining like an internal like, hey, we can get you a discount on this game as it leaves Game Pass or something to encourage you to buy on their platform still. I mean, eventually the numbers will probably start to make a lot more sense than just dumping it all out the window for Game Pass and throwing money away. Because like there's so much stuff on there that people probably never spend money on because it's on Game Pass.
So I'm going to give a little perspective here to a comparison, really, from a subscription service standpoint. So Netflix has around 269, or let's just say round up, 270 million paid subscribers, right? That generated for them last year $5.4 billion in $5.4 billion in overall profit. So when you kind of consider how many subscribers that is, and the profit margin is $5 billion, Microsoft would have to, I mean, considering they have, 20 million subscribers, they're nowhere near where Netflix is at to be making $5.4 billion.
Yeah.
Now, granted, Netflix is obviously creating its own content or paying out to get content on there, but so is Microsoft. You know, Microsoft's got their own studios. They're putting in however many hundreds of millions of dollars to create this content. So the profit margin has to be small for Microsoft. In fact, I would think they're probably losing money right now for this. I haven't looked at the most recent report for them on the Xbox division and what they're seeing in terms of overall revenue. I don't know if they've actually reported out, you know, a plus minus there for revenue in terms of you know, subscriptions and what they're actually putting in, but it can't be good, you know.
Yeah. And I mean, the quality of Xbox games, we were talking about this before, I think it was last week, right? When the Halo, did they get lucky with Halo?
Yeah, we talked about that last week.
But it's that same kind of thing here. Like, even if they do go multi-platform with everything, like, they need to make better first-party stuff. You know, like, obviously, Call of Duty will continue to come out and be the biggest moneymaker that they can generate. But, like, if they don't really get their ass to work and make a good Halo game that everybody wants to play, it doesn't matter if it's on every console if, you know, it's just not as good as what everybody else is developing. So, you know, Gears of War and backlog games, I think eventually being like released, like if you could just go onto the PlayStation store, the way you can go onto the Xbox store and buy anything that's available, that's going to lead to like a huge, you know, catalog that everybody would have access to. And it would make like the Switch 2 be just like this insane, you know, modern retro, like everything that from the past 20 years that you could play or past 15 years that you could play is all available here. Like that would be enormous. But moving forward, they still need to get their act together because it's just like you could sell it on every console if it's not good.
Yeah, I don't know that, you know, it's at the end of the day, I don't know that they're going to be making that much if they kept it on their own, obviously. And even as first party exclusives, like this is a golden time for Microsoft, considering all the studios they have, all the like Spyro, Crash, like all of these are technically exclusives right now if they wanted it to be. But you're not churning out consoles. Those aren't exactly the highest selling games, so you have to make all these multi-platform. Like your hand is kind of forced for this. The other option is obviously closing down studios and keeping IPs, but then
they're good at that.
Yeah, well, they are good at
they're
that.
They're good at that.
But now you run into a situation where now you piss off gamers because now you put a stranglehold on all of these different IPs because, well, you're Microsoft, right? So that's not going to get people to purchase your stuff. So honestly, I think they are kind of stuck in that rock and a hard place situation, right? You're kind of damned if you do, damned if you don't on, getting this content out there and, putting it on multi-platform. It has to be the next step, I feel. We'll see what their decision is. They might just be like, screw all of you. We're Microsoft. We have billions and billions of dollars. We're going to lose money on this division just to screw gamers, and we're going to keep everything exclusive moving forward. You never know. That could be the decision too. So we'll find out more on that showcase. So I'm excited to learn a bit more about what's happening. And not even from like a Sony fanboy or like Xbox fanboy or Xbot, I think is what you'd call the fanboys. Like, I don't even look at it from that perspective. I just think it's really interesting from a, video game industry standpoint as to what's occurring here. All right, let's go into our inflation deflation of the week, which is Super Off Road Baja. It was developed by Leland Interactive Media, published by Trade West, programmed by John Morgan, released in September of 1993. It is a racing game with a reception around a 5 to 6 out of 10. I don't know why, but we put a synopsis here. I'll just do Ryan's synopsis. It's a racing game. That's...
I wrote it before we played it, so I think the synopsis is actually that you are an ATV murderer. You're a man on a mission to just run over as many ATVs as you can.
So that's why I mentioned earlier on the your platform game of ATVs and them having their heads, backs to you. Is this game, for whatever reason, has a lot of ATV riders, and every time, and now that I think about it, it's even funnier, every time you run over an ATV character that's on screen, you kill them, and it says death, $3,000 loss. Now that I'm thinking about it, we killed probably, I don't know, 10 ATV riders each, in each race. So
dude, we went through at least one Mario level's worth of ATV enemy deaths.
But so think about this though. They're considering a person's life to be $3,000 of payout.
Hey man, life's rough in the Baja.
I guess, yeah. So, like we said, it's a racing game. There's not a ton to it. The game itself has 3 main courses that we noted, along with passwords, of course, to be able to access certain parts of a race when you get to it. I think it was Mexico, Baja, and there was something else, but it's like the 500, 500, and 1,000 class that you can go into. You race with off-road vehicles, of course, progressing through those different levels, taking on overall damage to determine if you can actually get through the level. You can hit trees, things of that nature that destroy you. You have nitrous that you're able to utilize. It doesn't have an overall map or anything to look at. You're just kind of going on this pathway of dirt and grass that all meshes together.
Let me do this.
I've got it, Ryan. I've got it. So the overall concept is general. I'm putting my leg up. See, I'm doing Uncle Roger style with the leg up. Now you messed my flow up. Look what you did, Ryan.
So it's a third-person racing game.
We all knew that.
You didn't even say that.
I didn't need to say third person. We all know it's Super
Okay,
Nintendo.
well, the off-road franchise is traditionally a top-down racing game.
Is it now?
Yeah.
When was it released?
I don't know. It was an arcade game.
Go on, Ryan.
So this, as opposed to the other Super Off-Road games, is a third-person racing game. And, I mean, you can keep going.
I'll mess you up. No, just mess you up. Go on.
So, graphic-wise, I mean, I thought it was actually pretty impressive for what we were getting. I mean, some of the level terrain and the camera angles that it was forcing you to work with were pretty bleak. And I mean, obviously it's trying to push the Super Nintendo to its limit to kind of give you this 3D driving kind of perspective. But all of the angles of the model on the car were actually pretty good looking if you got to kind of focus on that instead of trying to stay on these crazy roads. I mean, the terrain and the pathways are very much, off-road. There's dirt roads that you're trying to go through in the middle of a dirt field or a forest or something kind of like that, and it's very much, where am I going? What am I trying to avoid hitting?
I said that. Go on.
You're trying to pass like 1,000 cars, even there's only 10 ranks. So it's pretty bleak trying to get onto the road past all the other drivers, not kill the ATVs, pick up the nitrous, pick up the money bags, and get all the way to the end without damaging out.
What you forgot to mention, Ryan, is that there are rivers in the way as well. That we
Sometimes
can also
there
hit.
are rivers.
There are rivers, yeah. There are buildings. There are pedestrians walking. There's a lot of different pieces to this overall off-road. Yeah, a lot of hazards that are involved in the game. At the end of the race, each individual race, you actually do accumulate money for placing. I think you can only place 4th or higher to move on, though. I don't think you can move up past like after 5. So I think it's the top 4 moves on. And that's actually where you continue in the next race as you move on. But in between those races, you go through essentially a pit stop where you can, with your winnings, boost up your engine, your lights, your shocks, your tires. You can get additional nitrous. Brakes, that was the other thing. So you have all of that you can
We never used the brakes.
I used them once or twice.
I never used the brakes.
So you can do that. And then, of course, that passes over throughout the levels. And then, coincidentally, after you end up, like, losing in the race, you actually maintain that, it looked like, when we moved into doing another section. So it all kind of saves it together in your playthrough, which was kind of cool. And then,
although we did max out our car after, like, 2 races.
And we still struggled.
Yeah.
And it wasn't a matter of, like, us being bad at the game, because we were finishing in, like, the top 3. It's just number 1 and 2 were just insane. It was, like, no way to catch up to them.
As soon as you got into 3rd place, 4th was, like, fighting you constantly. Like, you could not pull away from the 4th place guy. And, like, it was just so tense, and instantly, like, if you mess up once, you're back down to 5th.
You're damn near looking at like a perfect race to be able to, get anywhere above like 3rd. I think I finished 3rd once, or no, I was going to, and I hit like this weird turn and it threw me off, and then I finished right at 4th. And then of course 5th place was right behind me.
Yeah.
So it's not, I wouldn't say it's a hard game. It's a fairly easy game. It's just kind of frustrating with all the different obstacles tied in, the jarriness of, hopping over a hill and then a weird camera angle comes in and you're trying to make a turn, but then the camera angle shifts again. Now you find yourself like truly off-road in an off-road game.
Yeah. So. I don't think that it would have made too much of a difference. This is definitely one of those instances though, where like, I wonder if it wouldn't be slightly better on the Super Nintendo instead of the Retron. Cause I always feel like the Retron is screwing with me a little bit. Like the controller, that one controller is garbage. We could not use that. But once we grabbed the like Super Nintendo style controller, like it worked a lot better. So I'm wondering if like maybe on just like an original setup, it might not give you just that little bit of extra edge or something.
I think what messed me up is you grabbing the other controller and pushing me in different directions.
You died in that race anyways.
I died in that race because you kept throwing me off road. So on the Retron, you can each control each other's controller, essentially. So I'm sitting here playing the game, and I'm like, man, this is like really bad. Like, I don't know what's up. Maybe it's a joystick or whatever. And then Ryan's just giggling in the corner, and I look, and he's tapping the controller left and right to screw me up. So no, I hit so many trees because you kept screwing me up, not because I was bad at it. Because then the next few races, I had no issue.
No, you still only finished 2 races.
No,
we both finished 2 races in 4th place.
I finished in 3rd place, my last race.
Did you?
I'm pretty sure I did, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and then my son picked up the control and was screwing a few too, so that was great. Yeah, it was fantastic. Overall, though, I enjoyed it, to be honest. Like
I really did too.
I thought it was a fun game to play. I mean, I think the reception's probably accurate. I mean, I wouldn't put it at 5. I'd put it probably about 6.5 to 7 out of 10. Would be my opinion. You did bring up the Retron, being kind of a concern. I would say it's probably better to play it on there because we can remove scan lines and we can kind of clean up the screen a bit. If we were to play it on the original Super Nintendo, you'd have all the original like video output, and it would be kind of janky on that big TV. If we were playing on like
on
an old CRT, it'd be great.
Yeah, like an original, like the setup it was meant for in that world. I feel like that would be like a better experience. Like I think that this is a good game to go back to. Like if you're like me, where you had like a pretty limited experience with Super Nintendo, like I had one, but like I probably only played like 20 games on it at home ever, like between the games I owned and the games I rented over and over again. Like I don't have a lot of memories of playing like a ton of stuff, and I never really liked racing games and stuff. So going back and playing old racing games, like I'm just always blown away at like what the Super Nintendo can show me now that I missed back then, because I think of it still as being kind of like so archaic in a lot of ways. But like this is a game where I'm like, this is impressive to me. Like this would have been like absolutely crazy when I was a kid if I was playing this. I would have loved this.
Yeah, it's almost like you were playing with power.
Playing with power.
Sorry, I had to throw it in there.
So brass tacks on this one, complete inbox, you're looking at $31.68. That peaked back at $33.25 in December of 2023. It's trending up currently. Loose copy run you $7.05. That peaked at $12.25 back in March of 2023. That is also trending up slightly. You know what? It's not like the best. I mean, it is just like a car. But I do like the box art on this one. I don't know if I like it for $30, but for $7 loose, I'm definitely saying that this is like at least like worth it. Like this is at least like good enough.
I'll go a little bit higher here. I'd say, given our current rates of inflation, a $10 bill would not be bad for this. Mm-hmm. I think you'd be okay. You'd make out all right. So at $7, I would say it's deflated.
Okay. You know what? I'll go with it too.
We don't have many of those, but I think this is a good one to do.
For the price of a meal at McDonald's or Taco Bell.
Honestly, dude, Taco Bell's got expensive.
One Baja for another.
That's true. Yeah. Dude, I don't even think Baja Blast is exclusive anymore to Taco Bell.
Dude, they have new stuff. They have like, I was at the Fry's last night. They have a Baja like Laguna Lemonade.
I've had that one.
I haven't, and there was another one that
KFC has a really good one too.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, you should check out their. It's a yellow. I think it might be the lemonade actually.
Lemonade?
Yeah, no, they have a good one. Or no, it's like a honey something. I don't know. Go check it out. KFC's
it's like chicken skin flavored.
That'd be disgusting.
Baja chicken.
Baja chicken. All right. Yeah, I mean, maybe it's marinated in Baja Blast. That's how they do it now.
Oh my God, teal chicken. Ugh.
For St. Patty's Day, just around the corner, or just past actually. All right. Well, yeah. So I think we're deflated on this one. Next week we'll be playing Guys. So you'll be playing on your preservation device. I think I'll be playing a legitimate copy that I purchased in a very legitimate purchase with a lot of other games for a very legitimate price.
Was this the super?
Yeah. It was a super giant pickup of 2020 where, yeah, I got a lot of games for a little price overall. Yeah. All right. Well, this has been episode 288 of the Game Deflators Podcast. My name's John.
I'm Ryan.
And thanks for listening.